Man, is anybody else really feeling this lull? We have to wait 3 more days before we watch hockey again? Or at least at the professional National Hockey League level, you get what I mean? But like, still, no matter what is going on outside the hockey world, the fact that we have to wait almost a week to go from Game 6 of the 3rd round to Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, it kind of takes a lot of the momentum away, doesn't it? Wasn't this a problem too, that people were complaining about, that the Stanley Cup Finals goes on far too long anyway? That GMs are only going to have like 2 days from the end of the Stanley Cup Finals, assuming it goes to 7, and day 1 of the NHL Draft? My gosh, everything should have just been pulled back a little bit. I get it, it's tough with the arenas and everything, but this lull. Ay, ay, ay. With this big break, though, we have ourselves a lot of opportunity to go over the series Edmonton versus Florida, our Stanley Cup Final matchup of 2024, and go over how some of these players have responded. What I wanted to do in this video was read an article on ctvnews.ca. Yeah, this is CTV. It's the Edmonton version of CTV, and it goes out there with a few comments made by McDavid and Draisaitl, talking about how this Oilers team can handle the aggressive Florida Panthers. Now, the thing is, when it comes to Florida, just based off of my observations, this is not research or anything, I'm just telling you what I'm hearing outside in my community. I already said this in a previous video when talking about whether or not Edmonton is Canada's team or not, because, I'm here in Vancouver, the majority of my friends are Canucks fans, everybody around me are Canucks fans, and a lot of Canucks fans were pissed off when the team ended up losing to Edmonton in Game 7 the other week. But despite that being the case, I'm actually seeing a lot more of my friends in my social circle and people in my hockey leagues supporting Edmonton more than Florida. Now, that just might be my own selective experience. Maybe you're in Coquitlam or something, you live near Vancouver, and you're seeing everybody cheering for Florida. Maybe it's different for you, but for me personally, that's just kind of what I'm seeing, and a lot of that sentiment comes from the fact that the Florida Panthers are bullies. They're tough SOBs, and they can go out there and fight the fight. Maybe in an overtly aggressive way. Maybe in a way that's a tad over the line. Bennett, Tkachuk, their defense, they can shut things down, and they can bully you physically. The Florida Panthers are so deep, they're so good on defense, they're probably the best defensive team of the NHL. All their pairings, Montour, Mikkola, Ekblad, Gustav, Forsling, and then you still have Ekman-Larsson and Kulikov, plus the Aleksander Barkov train that does not stop up top. This team is so deep, they're all around versatile, they've got two-way guys that can shut you down, they've got maybe one of the best power play goal scorers in the world right now in Sam Reinhart. The Panthers are a great team. And the aggression, you can say, is something that they will have that none of the other teams the Edmonton Oilers have faced this playoff run have had. I'm sorry, the LA Kings, they just don't have the snarl that a Sam Bennett and a Tkachuk have. The Vancouver Canucks, while they did have the twin tower pairing of Tyler Myers and Nikita Zadorov, and they did try their best at bullying around the Oilers, I feel like Vancouver was kind of hanging on for a lot of that series, especially in Games 6 and 7. They ended up losing, of course, but at the end of the day, the Canucks did not physically intimidate the Oilers as much as Florida, I feel, would be able to do so. And then the Dallas Stars, they didn't have much of that kind of response in their game, unfortunately. They just kind of let things go by and they stopped showing up. But when it comes to Florida, this is a team that has kind of bullied their way to the top of the mountain. They've pushed and shoved everybody out there. They've worked their way up to the front of the line. It's like they forced themselves to the front of the cafeteria line, and if anybody goes out there and challenges them, they're going to swiftly turn around, shove that dude to the ground, laugh in his face, spit in his drink, and then walk away. The Florida Panthers are that team, and McDavid and Draisaitl spoke out about how they're going to respond. Connor Mack said this: Florida plays a fast game, in your face, aggressive. I would expect scrums and stuff like that, but we're a veteran team, one of the older teams in the league. I don't think that stuff bothers guys in here. And I think that's a pretty interesting aspect that McDavid brings up. He could say, oh, you're microanalyzing his comments, like, oh, what are you doing? But, like, for McDavid to go out there and say, yeah, we're one of the older teams now. We're not young anymore. I mean, Connor McDavid was drafted 9 years ago. He's 27 years old now. That's kind of nuts when you really think about it. Leon Draisaitl's a year older. So if there was any better time for the Oilers to win a Stanley Cup, name me one that would be better than right now. This is like the perfect opportunity for Edmonton to go out there and win. They need to win. If they don't win, Leon Draisaitl's contract expires, he yeets off in free agency getting $13 million a year with the Sharks or whatever, then what? this team would have wasted the prime years of McDavid and Draisaitl and yada yada yada. You've heard that story before. We don't need to talk about it again because now they're right here. They're in the finals. And McDavid to say, yeah, we're one of the older teams, that does kind of make me sad a little bit because I was like, yeah, I was 15 years old when Connor McDavid got drafted. I'm now turning 24. We're all getting old, dude. That sucks. Let's continue with the conversation here before it gets too deep. Take a look at what McDavid says. We played a real physical team in Vancouver. It's the playoffs. It's the finals. I would expect physicality no matter who it is we are playing. As I had said, I don't really think the Oilers had too much trouble with the Canucks. I mean, they definitely made things difficult at times, but it wasn't like, wow, the Oilers were getting beat down and they were pummeled and they weren't able to breathe in that series. No, like, they were able to weather the storm. They dealt with Vancouver's physicality. It's just I think that Florida can do that more. And they have more guys, I think, that are capable of that too, that are also, like, really good scorers. Sam Bennett is a monster, not just at making your life a living hell, but at scoring goals. Matthew Tkachuk, what else can we say about that guy? And then Aleksander Barkov, not that he's a rough, tough guy, but he's just so difficult to play against. He will take away whatever lanes you have and pick your pocket when you least expect it. Leon Draisaitl went out there and said this: we can be a physical team too. Obviously, we like to play with the puck, but we're certainly not intimidated by physicality. We've handled it really well in the Vancouver series, handled it well in the LA series. Dallas was a little bit different, but we're a good enough team and we've got good enough guys to know how to play that type of way as well. We'll be ready to go. And I like how Draisaitl says that, yeah, we like to play with the puck, which means, you know, if you're physical, you're roughing and toughing guys out there, it means you don't have the puck. That's like the old John Tortorella conundrum where it's like, yeah, if you're blocking all these shots, great, but it means you don't have the puck. If you have 0 block shots in a game or 0 hits in a game, it could either mean that you shied away from that kind of activity, or you had the puck on your stick the whole time, and thus are not able to go out there and do those things. But of course, hockey is not like that. It's never a 100% time on attack kind of game, so we'll see where exactly this goes with the Oilers responding to physicality. This article is great because it goes over some comments also made by Mattias Ekholm about how the physicality of the Vancouver Canucks series set his team up for playing against Florida. Playing Vancouver in the second series with all that hype and all that pressure and all that stuff going on, whether it was here or Vancouver, winning out a series like that kind of calms everything down. I do think that series was like, okay, well, this is pretty much as intense as it gets. One final comment from Connor Mack before everything gets set into stone. This is what McDavid said about Alex Barkov, who has excelled both offensively and defensively in the postseason with 17 points in 17 games. He has been shutting down the opposition's top offensive players, and now we'll likely see what a Barkov versus McDavid series looks like throughout the Cup final. We've played against a lot of good teams through this run, and a lot of good players. Barkov is as good as it gets in terms of playing both ways. He's a really, really solid player. And of course, everybody's going to be referring to that graphic of Barkov shutting down, who was it? Nikita Kucherov in the first round, Pastrnak in the second round, Panarin in the third round. Now he's got a two-headed monster in McDavid and Draisaitl in the final round. This is the final boss, and we'll see when it's at home, on the road, how exactly these coaches will line match everything up. Because the Panthers start things out with home ice advantage. They have the right to send Barkov out there for every shift McDavid has. Of course, bearing any huge shifts where a team gets caught out on their wrong lines. But still, this is going to be a great coaching matchup. We're going to see what McDavid has against the best defensive center in the NHL. And for Barkov, I mean, yeah, this is the final boss, eh? It's like Elden Ring. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl speaking out about the Florida Panthers heading into Saturday's 2024 Stanley Cup Final. Yeah, it's on Saturday. We have to wait a long time. Ay, all the momentum built up, shut down, and we have to get back into it after the weekend, eh? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Oilers and the Panthers series. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.